Jess Teen Stress. I'm Abba Shrestha, and welcome back to our Behind the Crown series, where we share the stories of women in pageantry beyond their shiny dresses and pretty face, to showcase women that utilize their title to make a difference and spread awareness on the topic of mental health within their community. Today I'm here with the 2019 Miss Earth Germany, Kristyna Losova. Christina, can you please start off by telling me a little bit about yourself and your past role as Miss Earth Germany?
Yes, I would love to. First of all, thank you for the wonderful introduction. And it's my pleasure to share my insights and my knowledge. So to start off, a little bit about myself. I am a doctoral candidate at the moment. I'm also a mom. I just became a mom. I had my son 5 months ago. And I've lived in 5 different countries. I'm working as a life coach and performance coach. Um, right now, I'm on maternity leave, but otherwise. And yes, that's about it. That's a short introduction.
Awesome. So, talking about your pageantry, where did your pageant career begin and how did your journey lead you to where you are right now?
It's actually a funny story because my pageant career began with Miss Earth 2019. It began here in Germany with the preliminary round. And so I did not have any pageant experience prior to this, which is shocking because most of the girls, they go through years and years of pageant experiences. For me, it started with passion about ecology because Miss Earth is focused on ecology and helping to improve the planet and how we treat nature overall. And that was something I was very passionate about at that time. And I always obviously was looking up to models. I was a model at that time, but just different beauty queens. And so I thought, you know what? There is a casting going on in my city. Let me give it a try. And I didn't really think it was serious in any way. I just wanted to try it for fun. So I went there, and somehow, I don't know how, I ended up winning the German pageant. And then I went on to the international pageant.
That's awesome. That's so silly how that was your first experience and it ended up you getting the title. That was that's pretty silly. So how's your involvement in beauty pageants and being Miss Earth Germany influence your perspective on mental health and well-being?
Well, honestly, it has greatly shaped my perspective. At that time, I was still pursuing my first degree in psychology, my undergraduate degree. And I was very blind to what was truly going on in the world. And I had my experience about, beauty standards in the beauty industry because I was modeling since I was a teenager. But I didn't know to what extremes it was influencing people's mental health until I entered the pageant industry. And it was very shocking to me because I thought it was all about natural beauty, right? And that's how it's presented. So you're thinking you're going in and you're going to show your face without makeup. At least that's what we did at Miss Earth. You think nobody is cheating in a way, by adding hair, adding lashes, having surgery. But the truth is, the beauty industry is all about surgery. And actually, 85% of the girls who were at the world level had at least one surgery done to them, which was very shocking to me at that point. And to answer your question about the mental health, it had a huge impact on the mental health because you need to think about it in a way where you're constantly being judged about your appearance. So even though maybe in your country you're considered one of the prettiest women, you're still being evaluated on a global level. And so you're never good enough because there will always be only one winner. And thinking about that, it has a huge impact on models and girls in the beauty industry because you are constantly comparing yourself. And if you base your self-esteem on your beauty, then you are failing most of the time. And so you need more surgeries and you need more beauty tricks and beauty tips and add more hair and more lashes and more makeup to finally feel like you belong, to finally feel like you are good enough and to value yourself. And that has a huge impact not only on your beauty career, but also on your relationships, on your school, your other careers, pretty much every impact, pretty much every area of your life. Sorry, it's been a long day.
So earlier you're talking about how during this you were doing your undergrad in psychology and now you're doctoral candidate for psychology. So what kind of stemmed your interest in psychology and what have you learned about mental health through being a doctor candidate in psychology?
Mhm. So, I was actually struggling with mental health a lot myself as a child throughout my early teen years. And I didn't really know how to help myself until one day I've seen a movie, and that gave me the feeling that I was in charge of my life. And so I started doing a lot of research and reading a lot of self-help books. And I totally started shifting my own life. And that totally empowered me in every single aspect of my life. Everything has dramatically improved for me, whether I'm talking about my friendships, my academics, the sports that I was doing at the time, everything started magically improving. And that truly empowered me and gained my interest. And I also have someone with serious mental illness in my family, so that has also sparked my interest before, but it wasn't until I actually started helping myself that I became interested in this. And then I started college at 16. So this was after a few years that I have already implemented the strategies that I've used. And I loved my undergraduate in psychology, but to be honest, I didn't feel like it was what I wanted to do at that moment because I didn't want to be a psychologist. I didn't want to diagnose people because I felt like if I diagnose someone, um, it will limit them. Don't get me wrong, I believe diagnosis is very important because there are serious mental illnesses that need to be treated. But sometimes, if, let's say, you're just a regular kid, you're being diagnosed with depression, anxiety, ADHD, all of these things, and suddenly you think, what's wrong with me? There has to be something wrong with me. Why me? What am I doing wrong? So you're focused on your limitation instead of focusing on your strengths and how to get out of the situation that you are in. And so I wasn't really interested in becoming a psychologist, so I started getting into the life coaching industry a lot. I started focusing a lot on performance psychology, and this is actually what I'm also getting my doctorate in. So just to clarify, I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'm a performance psychologist. So if you would look at a spectrum, if we're on a spectrum where here you are okay on this line, then a clinical psychologist focuses on the people who are truly mentally ill, whereas a performance psychologist focuses on people who are okay but want to do better in their life. So I hope that answered your question.
Thank you for the clarification. So you talked a little bit earlier when you're introducing yourself that you've lived in 5 different countries. So
Mhm.
do you think that moving drastically from place to place can cause stress? And how did your experiences in these different countries shape your understanding of cultural influences on mental health?
Mhm. So, in the beginning, it can definitely cause stress. But at the same time, it's one of the best things that you can do to your mental health. And let me explain why. So, when you go to any country, especially a country that doesn't speak your language, you're automatically faced with all of these challenges. First of all, learning the language, adjusting to the culture, finding new friends, you know, finding new hobbies and activities, and truly finding your place in this new world, right? So that is definitely a challenge. And my first time when I moved abroad, well, that wasn't my first time because I lived in 2 different countries at once growing up. But going to a different country by myself, I was only 14 when I moved away from home and went all by myself to France without speaking a single word French. And so, of course, that was a huge challenge. It was very stressful for me in the first 2, 3 months. But every time that you move abroad, it gives you a new chance to reinvent yourself. It gives you a chance to start again. It gives you a chance to explore new cultures and integrate it into your life. So before, if your beliefs were very limited on a certain topic and suddenly you start understanding why people think in a different way, you have a choice to either integrate these new traditions and these beliefs into your life or not to. But at the same time, understanding helps you to have greater compassion for others. It helps you to you know, see the world in a unified way instead of looking at people based on their nationality or their color or what hobbies they're doing. So I think it's really powerful. And also, it helps you to realize, especially if you are suffering mentally, if you're depressed or anxious, it makes you realize that it's universal. Whatever country you go to, you see people having challenges. And so it also helps you to be more compassionate with yourself because you realize you are not alone in this world. And that's actually also my area of expertise and the topic of my doctoral dissertation, self compassion. Um, and I think it's super important, especially nowadays where we are facing stress everywhere that we look at, whether it is, at school or going on social media or, just meeting people. You are always having this need to be evaluated, or, well, you don't have the need, but you are being evaluated. And if you don't have self-compassion, you're going to have a mental challenge, of course. Um, and so you really have to start learning how to love yourself because everybody tells you you need to love yourself, but nobody tells you how. And I think that's one of the major issues in today's society. And also dealing with stress because we lack awareness. And to truly deal with stress, you need to have awareness of where the stress is coming from and the meanings behind it. Does that make sense? Or did I go on too much?
No, no, that completely makes sense. Thank you.
Okay.
And then on the topic of educating yourself on mental health, so as you've passed your teen years, how do you think that your understanding of mental health in general and mental well-being has changed from when you were a teen till now?
Well, when you are a teen, you generally tend to see things either black or white, right? You either think, let me just give you an example. If you have a crush on someone and the boy doesn't like you, you're gonna think, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Is it really? No. So as teens, we tend to dramatize things. We think that if we get a bad grade, if certain things happen to us, we're gonna die, the world is over. That's not really how it is. And that's also how we see our mental health. We generally think our emotions are either good or bad, but that's not necessarily the case. Um, when you truly start looking into psychology, and this is something that I started realizing in my undergrad years, um, anger, depression, anxiety, all of these things that we label as bad emotions are there for a reason. And they help us navigate through the world. So if you are angry, there's probably something that has violated your boundaries, right? There's probably something that is not okay. If you are sad, there's probably something that you have not fully processed, that you have not fully dealt with. Um, so you truly need to, if you're jealous, the same thing, all of these emotions have a reason. And let's say, okay, let me give you a good example. So let's say you are walking on the street and suddenly a car comes running at you. Is it good that you're stressed? Most likely, yes, because it will allow you to jump away and not get hit by the car. So it's good to be stressed in that moment because your body starts producing adrenaline and you can react to the given situation. But is it good to be stressed about an exam coming up? Not necessarily if it's repeating over and over again, because it will cost you your overall health, not just your mental health, because your body will stop digesting, it will stop producing certain hormones, and so on. And so your emotions are never just black and white, they're there for a purpose, and they can actually help you to improve yourself. So if you're angry, ask yourself, why am I angry? What has violated my boundaries? What is going on? And then you can either solve the situation, or if it's a situation that you cannot solve at the moment, use the anger as a fuel to help you move forward. So you always have an opportunity when an emotion presents itself to you. Whether you use that opportunity or not, that is up to you. The main problem is that we don't learn how to manage our emotions at school. And so when we are frustrated, when we are angry, when we're sad, when we're jealous, when we feel guilty or whatever negative emotion that we have, we don't know how to deal with it. And honestly, most adults never learn it. That's why we lash out. That's why we have so many arguments, because we're unable to process our own emotions.
Thank you. My last question for you is what advice would you give to someone that's struggling with their mental health or like some kind of message that you would like to leave to our Adjust Teen Stress audience?
So I'd say know that you are in charge. Mental health, whatever you are struggling with, is about perspective. So whether you're happy or you're sad, whether you're doing great or it's your worst day, it's all about your inner perspective. Your mind is taking in millions, billions of information every single second. Now, you can't obviously process all of this information because most of it is, first of all, irrelevant to you. And second of all, I mean, why would you? Why would you process all of this information? What use would you have out of it? And so realize that you are in charge and you only filter the information that is relevant to you. And so if you are focusing on how terrible you look, how terrible your grades are, that nobody likes you, and all of these negative things, you will only notice the negative things because your brain only processes what seems to be important to you, what seems to be important to your survival, to your well-being. And so if you truly want to change your mental well-being, you need to start noticing your pattern of thinking. It's all in your hand. And so when you start noticing your mental patterns, how you talk to yourself, because most of the time we are our biggest bullies. Most of the time we are our greatest critic. And if you start noticing this pattern and you start asking yourself, would I talk this way to a friend? Would I talk this way to someone that I love? Most likely you wouldn't. And this is a good indicator for you to start programming your mind in a different way. And actually, let me give you a good exercise for that you can apply. Because it's all easy to, listen to different podcasts, listen to people speaking about mental health. But if you don't have the tools, nothing's going to change for you. So let me give you a simple exercise on how you can start reprogramming yourself for, first of all, starting to love yourself and to love your day. So step number one, I want you to think of 3 things that you have loved about your day. It can be, the fact that somebody smiled at you, the fact that, you got to spend time with your pet. Whatever brings you joy, think about that. Name 3 things. And what's important is that you don't just name these things. You revisit the moment throughout your day. So you truly feel the emotions that you felt at that moment. And the second thing is notice 3 things that you have loved about yourself. And now this is really hard for people, especially if you are struggling with mental health, because we only notice the things that are bad about us, right? Oh my God, I have a bad hair day. Oh my God, I suck at math or whatever, right? So what are 3 things that you have loved about yourself that specific day? It can be how your eye color matched your sweater. It can be how you responded to someone. Maybe you set a boundary. Maybe maybe you brushed your teeth. It can be something simple. It doesn't have to be something extraordinary. Nobody is extraordinary every single day. So if it seems hard to you, go to the absolute basics, but mean it. What's important is that you truly mean it. And if it takes for you to name things like brushing your teeth or brushing your hair, good, but name those things and truly feel proud of yourself at the moment for taking the steps, because that will start reprogramming your mind for noticing things that you like about yourself, for noticing things that you liked about your day. And within less than a month, you will start noticing that you feel happier. It will also teach you gratitude because suddenly you will start feeling, more grateful for the life that you have, for your friends, for your family. You start feeling more grateful for yourself. And I think that's one of the key aspects to change, to inner change, changing your perspective.
All right. Thank you so much, Christina, for helping, talking about your thoughts and opinions on mental health, sharing examples. This is a very refreshing interview for me, and I know anyone that's listening to this. So thank you so much for sharing your story with us today, and thank you so much for helping us address teen stress.